ladies and gentlemen. It's been far too long since either of us spent any time with one another. But there's a handful of things that I wanted to talk about with you today as to where I've been, to news with Fable 4, to things that seem to just be happening with Fable all of the time, and common sense, and senseless community hate. But they'll wrap around to each other. I wanted to start off with a video that I saw from a channel called The Gaming Addict that drew attention to the fact that Fable as a franchise is seemingly always under fire. And it's like every other month there's some new rumor based in nothing being passed around about how Fable as a game is on fire. How it's just up in flames, burning to the ground. And it's just ridiculous to me. And a lot of these rumors always have to do with something like the game engine, which people who are talking about them seem to care very little about learning anything about, which I think speaks volumes on the levels of credibility. Even from the fact that they source are these one articles that are based on nothing. Anyone can just go and type up an article. I think I've talked about that before in my previous Fable videos. Anyone can just go and type up an article. It's really not something so special. To say that those people even said or did those things hasn't been verified by literally anybody. What has been verified is that Fable 4 has been in development for a very long time. It's well in the works, and it will be released probably sometime within the next 2 years. Realistically, we'll probably see it within the next 2 years. Either under that time or within that time. And that's what we should anticipate on the horizon. And with that said, let's talk about what some of these rumors are. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to link that video from the Gaming Addict down below, because he goes into them very well and talks about a lot of things that I just agree with, and I don't want to just be an echo chamber of his thoughts. But a common rumor is that the Forza engine isn't a good engine because it's a racing game engine. So how are they going to build this RPG in that engine? Now, all I have to say is, what do you even know about the engine? Microsoft seems to think that it's quite impressive. And let me tell you something about Fable's engine, is it's very trivial. It's a very trivial, simple thing. My buddy made scripts to decompile the files. I've seen the armatures in Fable 2, the 3D skeletons that animate everything, and the models, how the sub-measures are made. The texture resolutions in Fable 2 and 3 are actually surprisingly small. And the armatures are really reminiscent of the armatures in Fable 1. There's not anything really special going on here. Even the facial rigs. Fable 1 have very similar facial rigs even. So, with that said, how do racing games even work? Well, I don't own Forza Horizon, so I can't load it up and test the stuff out to show you myself. But what I can tell you is that, let's take Grand Theft Auto or Saints Row. How I've seen some Forza Horizon games that allow you to get out the car and run around as a little person for a second before getting back in the car. I have seen footage from some games like that. Specifically some Forza Horizon games. Now let's take another game that does that same thing, like let's say Saints Row, ironically it's a Lionhead game, and Grand Theft Auto, which is not. You get in a car, you drive around, and you get out the car in both games. It's as simple as a mount system. It's actually intrinsic of a mountable NPC. Take Elden Ring. In Elden Ring, there are NPCs who you connect to on a certain bone, and that's where your model goes. And then you basically just control or pilot their AI model and animations. It's very simple stuff. That's how it is with older games and cars as well. It just sticks you in there. It either finds somewhere to hide your model or sticks it to a certain bone on the model. It's at anything. To say that the Forza Horizon engine is going to do Fable games, to say that this at anything is that it may be a regular RPG with surprisingly mounts, with maybe mounts, since it's already mostly built into the engine. Possibly. This is just basic theory on the engine. Another thing that people talk about is how they don't have facial rigs. They don't have facial animations, they say. So, is that really a good sign? It's a very primitive engine. If it doesn't have facial animations, that's a lot they have to work with. And it's not something that would be very difficult to work down unless there's hard-defined code rules about how many bones can be on a vertex or this or that. There shouldn't be any issues there at all, actually, with implementing facial rigs if they're not already in it. But what I think is even more hilarious about all this is how no one's just ripped an NPC from Forza Horizon to see if there are bones in the face or not. It's pretty simple to do, and no one's just taken upon themselves to just who's owned these games and talk about these things to do it. And let me tell you why I'm not doing it. Because I play Fable. I don't play the Forza Horizon games. I don't own any of the Forza Horizon games. I can't test that myself. I am actually very interested in this, and I encourage anyone who does own Forza Horizon to look into ways of decrypting the models themselves and seeing if those bones are even there before they hop to conclusions on how this game engine does or doesn't work when they don't even understand simple things about game engines. There's Unreal Engine 5 isn't so special. It's actually really arbitrary. Blueprint notes are very arbitrary, and its focus, Unreal Engine's focus in general, has always been comparatively to be pretty. Okay? Everything that's done in Unreal Engine is animation dependent. Unlike Unity, which has less support, less people that are a part of it, like, if you're making a game in Unity, it's very hard to find people to work on you in that team in general, or people who specialize in it. But Unity focuses more on gameplay function, which I think is where engines are supposed to kind of shine anyway. It's not just being pretty. And sure, they've probably touched up some things about Unreal Engine 5 here that I just don't know about. I don't know that much about Unreal Engine 5. I just know what I'm saying based on Unreal Engine 4. But I don't mean to just tangent on and spiral with you about the sophistications and how the game engine may or may not work. All I'm saying is that you don't know anything about it. But Microsoft seems to think that it's fancy business and that it's capable of more than just racing games. It's really possible that the racing aspect of it is as simple as a mountable system. A mount system. It's possible that it's just that simple. You can make whole games around something that simple, like running. That's a simple system in a game. Movement. You can make whole 3D platformers. You can make whole games revolve around that one system and still have a room to add more functionality to that game within your engine. You just don't always have to go that far. So this could be just their chance to work that out, to do more with their engine, and to develop and grow their engine more. We don't know anything. What we do know is from what they've said about the release of Starfield and the Elder Scrolls 6, that we could probably be seeing Fable 4 anywhere from 2 years, 3 years at most. But I think we're going to see it in under 2 years. I really do. And I think that these rumors are just Sony hungry dog shit, and that people just will wait for anything negative to latch onto. That's just the way society seems to work these days, and it's really disappointing. I mean, look, Xbox fans are the same way. I'm not a fence sitter here. I'm not on either side of the coin here. I'm just not. But I just hate that anyone says this. Take Rings of Power, for example, in Lord of the Rings, or older Lord of the Rings games as well. You can't release anything that's Lord of the Rings related, or people are just gonna fucking hate it. They're gonna hate it. They're gonna watch it burn. They're gonna wanna watch it burn before it's even seen the light of day. And you can't tell me I'm wrong. People were shitting on Rings of Power before it even aired. It's hilarious, and now it was doomed to be that way because it's a Lord of the Rings property. I've sat through all of Rings of Power. I actually really enjoyed it. It's not what this video is about. It's just to say that when you're a popular IP, people would rather see you in trouble than growing. People, and you can think about that in your own personal lives too. It's a petty, narcissistic, childish way to live. You know, A lot of people are like that these days. It's just how it is. I think what's important is learning to think for yourself. Learning to kind of just judge art for your own and give things a chance instead of letting critics live rent-free in your head. And to stop believing everything you read on the internet. I mean, consider simple rules. Logic, clearly. Sources, and if those sources are valid and how many there are, you need, as an adult, you need to learn how to properly link information. Just because your opinion on something tells you to feel a certain way does not make it a fact. I know I really ranted on a good bit about this now, and I think that it's really a shame that so many people want to talk about the Forza Horizon engine in relation to Fable when they just don't know anything about the engine. I think I'm done with that topic now, that I've really rinsed through it as much as possible, that everything we've heard about Fable 4 from Microsoft themselves is very positive, including the head of the studio. So he wanted to show it off even, and then Playground Games is like, no. This is ours. We got this. We got some things to do to this before we want you to see it. And actually, that makes a lot of sense to me. They want to have all their ducks in a row to really kind of knock it out of the water with you, because Fable is vulnerable. Any and everything can be used against it. And that's why it's important to consider the things that we've talked about today, about common sense, about applying that information about applying that to information you read online. And it just, people gotta be a little bit more optimistic. It's like everyone's scared to be disappointed, but disappointment's a part of life. You gotta grow up. You gotta, if you can't be optimistic, then you're just living in a pile of crap anyways. So to my hiatus and where I've been now, that we're off of the topic of Fable and when we can anticipate Fable 4. Or actually, why do I think that, just to say one more time why I think we can see Fable within 2 to 3 years, is because they said that we'd see it sometime before or after Starfield, and that Starfield was coming before Elder Scrolls 6. And Elder Scrolls 6 is coming like, it's not announced yet, I don't think, but Starfield is about to drop. So that's to say that Fable, you could hear about Fable 4 very soon before Starfield or after Starfield. But I think that we'll hear about it sometime after Starfield, within a couple of months, maybe 4 to 6 months after Starfield, and that within that time period after we hear about it, it'll be released within 2 years. And that's just I'm basing that knowledge off of how this has just gone in the past with other games as well. And it's not to say it's a fact, it's just my anticipation. And I think it's a more normal anticipation than damn a game engine you know nothing about, that a game studio has every faith in. It's just, at the end of the day, if you're that concerned about the game engine, maybe research the game engine. I don't know, it's not that hard to figure out the way the game engine works. It's not. Take Oddworld Stranger's Wrath. Me and my buddies in a couple of weeks were basically able to figure out that the whole game basically was just built and ran in Maya in like a matter of 2 weeks. It's not possible. And it's not something that is impossible for just regular people to figure out either. I encourage you all to inform yourselves more on things that cause you concern before you just jump to conclusions based on how you think or feel. You should always try to justify a thought in your head. You should always challenge yourself. If you aren't challenging yourself, then how can you grow as a person? But now that we're over that, as to what do I think about Playground Games in general, I have a lot of faith in them. And I think it's pretty hilarious that everyone's just throwing stones. I guess throw them while you still can, because I see good things in the horizon. So as to where I've been for my hiatus, I've just been having a lot going on in my personal life that I don't want to go into in a lot of detail. And I've also been very caught up in my job. But recently, I've been feeling the passion again to get kind of back into doing this, to talking with you guys. I've missed talking with you guys a long time now. And I've also came back to my other projects like Wayward Souls. I'm going to link the trailer to the gameplay. It's not a trailer, it's a whip. It's gameplay, just short showcase on some designs, etc., some tone setting. It's Wayward Souls. It's a project I've been working on since about 2019. I've been conceptualizing it as early as 2016. And I've just been one person working on it. It's an Amnesia overhaul. It's an Amnesia full conversion. If you've heard of Amnesia: The Dark Descent, you know, it's a whole classic horror game from 2011. And I've been making an overhaul to it, basically just using the engine as a platform to tell my own kind of visual novel and story. And I funded this project myself independently with a handful of artists. We're basically like a little small team. I've got voice actors, 3D modelers, animators, people converting files, people helping me with coding. But a lot of that I had to do for myself for a long time, and I've been getting a lot of help now recently, especially the past couple years. And the project's just really blossoming, and I can't wait to show it all to you guys. So again, I'm going to link that down there. I'm going to get to work on some more of that. Recently, I patched out some major bugs with it, and I really like if you just went and checked it out. Unless you were just here for the Fable content, this is just something I'm talking about more so for my subscribers, or maybe any just fellow Amnesia fans out there who are a fan of things like Amadeus or White Knight. I'm trying to take that to a different kind of extreme. I can't say that I have the same skill set as the people who made Amadeus. It's a very good full conversion, but I can say that I've actually thrown myself into this, my passion, my money, my imagination, so much of my time to just try and bring this story to life for you guys. And that's all I care about. I don't care about making any money off of it back. I don't care about if everyone loves it or not even. I just care about putting it out there. It's a story that I really want to tell. And yeah, that'll be about it. I've just been a lot going on, a lot since I've been able to work on it. And I'm happy to come back to it all and to finally be able to talk to you guys about Fable again as well. It's just so exciting. There's a lot on the horizon. I have another mod showcase for Fable Anniversary that I'm going to upload probably shortly after this. I have some other things for the first Fable I wanted to work on as well. I want to come back to my role-playing commentary series for Fable 2 and Fable 3. And I was hoping to start a commentary role-playing series for Fable Anniversary as well. So stick with me if you're interested in any of that with actual editing and maybe an actual script, because this is just some stuff I've had on my mind that I wanted to talk about with you guys. This entire video is unscripted, just my thoughts jumbling around and me wanting to share them with you as genuinely and as unfiltered as possible. So I hope that you were able to take something away from this. I hope that you could agree with me that these favors are just dog shit. That these what did I even just say? That these rumors are just dog shit. There's based on nothing. People are always hungry for this kind of attention. I say slaughter the town. So remember to think for yourself. Remember to challenge your own thoughts. And remember to try and validate things before you come to conclusions. In more than one way. In some ways, it's actually pretty simple, like we talked about with the Forza Horizon engine. Who is actually trying to learn about that game engine? It makes me very interested myself in trying to learn about this game engine. Maybe I'll make it a short project with you guys. A deep dive into the workings of the Forza Tech engine. What do you guys think? Does that sound fun? Well, thanks for sticking with me, especially through my hilarious Rings of Power rant. I understand that some people might not like the show because of changes based on this or that, but I actually, I liked it. I liked the acting, I liked the performances, I liked the sets, and everything people complained about is ironically something I enjoyed, which is why I think that free thinking is so important, because it's just people think their opinions are objective facts. It's so silly to me. Just because I think it's good doesn't mean that objectively it is. Dear God, man. People apply rules of... Let me take The Hobbit, for example, which has actual flaws in the cinematography, from its camera, to its shots, to its effects, to its sounds. It's not like that with Rings of Power. All that shit's good in Rings of Power. But, you know, it just burns to the ground because it's a Christopher Tolkien property. It's a Lord of the Rings property. People either worship Peter Jackson or hate Peter Jackson, or worship Christopher Tolkien or hate Christopher Tolkien. And there's no just everyone being happy, and there never will be. And that's what makes Lord of the Rings a vulnerable property, and is why I use it for comparison with Fable, because Fable is also a vulnerable property, and people will use any and everything negative that they can to attack it, to see it do bad, to make them feel more correct and righteous in whatever the hell they're trying to do. It's just the way that some people are. But anyways, thanks for talking with me. I'll be back to posting more often now, probably more lighthearted content, less serious, monotone conversations where I just walk around and shoot villagers SL. I like doing edits, some role-playing edits like I have with my Finding a Heart series, Crazed Man Stabs Everyone in Spire. Very proud of that episode, and the Snow Globe DLC anniversary. I'm going to link both of those in the description as well. If you're interested in some more lighthearted content, you should check them out. Some more lighthearted Fable content. And until then, thank you just so much for spending this time with me and coming back. And I hope you're looking forward to Fable 4 the same way. Sorry guys, had a bit of a cut there, but yeah, I hope that you're remaining optimistic about Fable 4 the same way that I am. And I feel that you have every reason to be optimistic, and very little credible reason to be pessimistic. So thanks for tuning in, and have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Subscribe. Subscribe.